Everyone thinks that teens in our world today use alcohol, tobacco, or drugs to cope with everyday struggles. You may think they do,
but they don't. Welcome to the But They Don't podcast, a podcast for teens by teens. Join us as we cover substance use prevention, mental health, community conversations, and more. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the But They Don't podcast. I am Kadasia from the College Board, and today we are joined by two special guests, Billie and Tammy. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. So my name is Billie White. I'm the lead nurse practitioner for DHEC in the upstate.
Hi, and I'm Tammy Lyons. I am the program manager for the Disease Intervention Specialist here in the upstate region.
All right, I'd just like to have a quick warning. Today's episode will have some sensitive topics and involve some sexual situations. Can I ask you guys a couple questions?
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right, so what is the service that you two provide to the community?
I'll go first.
Sure.
Right? Okay. So I'll speak to this from a clinical situation. So being a nurse practitioner, in our health departments, we actually provide comprehensive sexual health services, birth control methods, STD screening and testing for the citizens of South Carolina. Those services range from anywhere from somebody from 12 years old till end of life when you talk about STDs, and anywhere in between. Sometimes the STD treatments or testing, we are very age specific on that one just because of certain laws in the area will require some reporting. So anything under the age of 12, you start getting into worrying about people being persuaded or children being forced into sexual acts that they did not consent to. So we're very specific about the age groups that we see for those types of services. But from 12 up through family planning services and offering any birth control methods that the people may want, either at a low cost or a no cost to them. And basically just providing services helping people plan their pregnancies when you look at it from the family planning standpoint. We don't want any unintended pregnancies in South Carolina when there is so much education and access to birth control method these days. We want to make sure that our teenagers as well as our adults are educated in those. So we provide that education as well and kind of help guide them into what would be the best method for them to prevent those unintended pregnancies when they decide they want to become pregnant.
In my shop, we are on the surveillance end of clinical, and what we do, for those clients that test positive for syphilis or HIV, we offer partner services. And partner services is where we interview the person who has a positive lab, and we get information on their partners, and we go out into the community and we locate those partners and we offer them testing and or treatment if needed. So our thing is, if you test positive for STD, we want to make sure that all of your partners have been tested and or treated. So that is a main function that we have. We get that information and we go out into the community and we notify you of an exposure. And again, we offer you testing and or treatment if necessary.
That is amazing that you guys have those resources open for people. Is there anything that you guys do specifically for teens?
I think we do everything we would do for our adult population, we're going to do for our teen population as well, because we know how critical that is to catch you at a younger age, to make sure that you are made aware of the resources available to you. Sometimes we're a little limited as to what we can do for the teen populations by the schools and the different districts that we live in, so we're not always available to go into those and reach them there. So we really have to become creative in ways that we can reach our teenagers. So I think a lot of it is word of mouth with us. But also, I've been around a long time, so I've noticed that I've seen moms, and now I'm seeing moms, teenagers. So I think that's, any services that we would provide for adults, we were providing for the teenagers as well. Some of our clinics have focused where they had teen-only times, where only teenagers would come in during that time frames to be seen. And if we see that we have a need for those types of things, sometimes we can create those clinics around that to be specific for teenagers so that they're not running into moms and dads from the community coming in for other services at the same time. We want them to have their privacy as well. So whatever we can do for them, we're doing for teens as well. Same thing, about their sexual health, making sure they're making good choices, educating them on the options and availability of birth control methods for them, how to prevent STDs if you do choose to have sex, how to have those conversations with your parents or your people you live with, just in order to make sure that you're being safe when you're doing those things. So we provide all that for teenagers as well. So from the counseling to the full services to the testing, we try to do and everything we can for them as well.
That is really nice.
And it is the same with us. No matter your age, if you test positive for either syphilis or HIV, whether you're a teen or an adult, we offer those partner services to our clients. Because unfortunately, sometimes people don't want to advise their partner that they have an STD or an STI. So that's where we come into contact to say, okay, if this is not a conversation that you may feel comfortable with having, we can have that conversation for you with your partner. The only thing that we really would need is truthful information. How can we get in contact with your partner? And just realize that when we are making contact with your partner, everything is in the strictest of confidence. So we do not provide any names. All your information will be held in confidence. So we don't go and tell your partner, hey, your partner told us that we need to contact you because they have an STD. No, that's not what we do. Everything that we do is held in the strictest of confidence.
That is really nice. So what are some signs of an STI or STD?
Wow. Okay. So that can run the gamut, right? Depends on the STD or the STI we're talking about. And when we're saying STD and STI, those are used interchangeably. So sexually transmitted diseases or sexually transmitted infections depends on the literature you read as to what people call it, but they're the same thing. So for women, it may be discharge from the vagina or from the discharge from the penis for a man. Maybe some burning when you urinate or have to pee or go to the bathroom. Some people have no signs and symptoms at all. Some people may have with syphilis, they may notice sores that are non-painful, either in the vaginal area, around the mouth, or the bottom, or the rectum, whatever they've used to have sex. And then there could be something simple as rashes on the body. That's another one for syphilis. Syphilis comes in stages. So for some people, it'll start with sores, but they may not notice those because they don't hurt. So they overlook them. They will go away on their own in a couple weeks, but then it'll come back as a rash a few weeks later because it's still in your system. And that rash can be on the front and back of your body or really weird, like on the palms of your hands or the bottom of your feet. Not typical places you would actually ever think about seeing a rash. It's unusual places to see a rash. So it's very specific to those areas. Odor for some people. Some people will say they notice or have noticed a difference in their discharge, maybe not necessarily having discharge being abnormal, but just a different color for them, because for some women the discharge can be normal. So they'll actually notice a change in color or consistency of that discharge that may lead them to believe that something's going on. But for the most part, those are going to be the big things that most people look for in considering that they may have some kind of sexually transmitted infection.
Is there a phone number that they could call to see if there is a way to see before they want to go into a doctor's office and have confirmation with them before they actually walk into the office?
Are you asking for a number?
Not an exact number, but like someone they could call.
To maybe run their symptoms by
Yes.
to see, do I need to be seen? I think it's safest to say you could call any of the health departments and they would actually pass you through to somebody that could answer those questions for you. Specifically, usually a nurse would answer those questions for you. So the people that would answer the phone in the local health departments would make sure that they take your name and number and get it to a nurse who could return a phone call to you. I will say outside of the services we provide necessarily, there are some applications on phones, STD checkers and stuff that you can use on the apps. Again, I'm old, so I don't know all the names of those, but I know there are some out there that some of the teenagers like to use especially, that helps them kind of put their symptoms in, and it lets them know whether they should seek services at maybe a clinic. So that could be something available to people as well. But they can always call any of the local health departments, and we'll be happy to talk to them to see if it's something that maybe they need to come in for.
Speaking of services, how do you treat those with STDs and STIs?
So we treat all of them in-house. So if they come to us for testing, then typically the test, depending on what kind of test it is, can take about 7 days to come back. Once those test results come back in, we reach out to you and we make you an appointment to come in so that we can talk to you about those and that we can provide the medication or treatment to you for those particular STDs. If you present with symptoms of, say, syphilis, for instance, because that's very visual with sores and rashes, and if we see them at the time of your visit, we may go ahead and provide the treatment for you at that time before your test results come back. We do that, what we call treating presumptively, because we're assuming based on what we're seeing that this is what this is. But we provide all that treatment for you. Again, it's at like a low cost or no cost to you. So no one should ever let that be a deterrent from coming in to be checked or to be tested or to be treated, because we're always going to work with you for that. But we'll make sure that if you test positive, we'll make sure you get treated.
That's really nice. Do you have anything to add, Tammy?
Not on that subject. That my APRN is the best.
So, living with an STI can have a major strain on one's mental health, especially for teens. So, what are some support systems that you may or may not have in place for teens with an STI?
So we try to make sure that we counsel everybody really well, because it can play an important part in your mental health. I understand that. We do have social workers that work within our agency. So if somebody came to me and was having a very hard time coping with living with this STD, whichever one it may be, because one is no worse than the other for some people. Having one is just messing with, don't matter which one it is, right? So what we would do at that time is really talk to them, educate them, counsel them, and we do have social workers, like I said, that we could perhaps link them to that could get them further help if they needed, because we want to make sure that everybody understands the disease process of maybe what we've tested them for and what we're treating them for, and if it is something they're having a hard time dealing with, we want to make sure we get them help for that as well. So we would definitely refer that person to social work that we could get them in somewhere else.
That is really nice. What are some ways to prevent STIs in teens and adults?
Okay, so yes, right? So number one way, don't have unprotected sex, right? That's the most 100% surefire way of not getting an STD. So, but there's some other things. Like, you got to be realistic. If you're already having sex, what can you do? Well, making sure you have one partner and your partner only has you as a partner. Using condoms, which are readily available at health departments as well. If you can't afford them, you can come see us. We'll make sure you get some. Those are the types of things that you can do to help prevent those. Those are the big ones. I don't know that there's a whole heck of a lot of other ways to prevent them, but just being very careful. Keeping yourself tested. If you're having sex, you want to make sure you get yourself tested in between partners if you have multiple partners, just to ensure that if something did happen, you're not spreading it to somebody else. So I think those are the biggest ways to ensure that you prevent getting them.
All right. Thank you guys for joining me today. Are there any other pointers you would like to add in?
I would like to say that we understand that things happen. Life happens, things happen. But if you do get an STI or STD, don't be ashamed to come and get treated. The worst thing that you can do is not get treated, because that could lead to other health problems if you don't get yourself taken care of. As public health officials, it is our duty to ensure that the public is safe, and the public includes everybody. So again, we understand that things happen, but as teenagers who will eventually become adults, take care of yourself. If you need our services, by all means, come seek us out. There's no shame. There's no discussion. There's no downing you on any type of process, but come and get yourself taken care of. That's the basic thing that we want to put out there. We're here to help. We're not here to hurt, and that's what we do as public health officials.
That is really nice. It is really good to know that there are people out there to help teens and adults with these kind of issues. And I would like to thank you two ladies for coming out today to talk with me and our amazing podcast about these opportunities, especially for our teens that listen.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yes. And just before we go, let me give out some data. As far as STDs are concerned in South Carolina, unfortunately, South Carolina is not in a good position when it comes to STDs. We are ranked 5th nationally for chlamydia. We're ranked 10th nationally for gonorrhea. And for syphilis, we're like number 15. So we are ranked, unfortunately, pretty high when it comes to STDs. So again, that's why I reiterate, if you do get an STD, let's get this taken care of. So you can just don't be ashamed to come and seek our services. Again, we're here to help, and we want to decrease those numbers. I mean, South Carolina wants to be known for other things, not as being ranked nationally 5th for chlamydia. But again, we do understand that things happen. We just want you to come and get yourself taken care of. No judgment at all.
That is really nice to hear, especially from you guys and talking with you. It's a lot of information that definitely went to me because I'm about to go to college, and I'm sure for a bunch of teenagers who are listening now. Alrighty, that concludes our podcast today. Don't forget, listeners, to go follow all of our social media. Links will be in the description. Is there anything that you guys would like us to add to the description?
No, just get yourself taken care of.
Maybe the DHEC website, a lot of information on there. You can add that. I think that's a good place for a lot of people to start seeking out exactly what services that we provide in health departments.
All right, we will add our social media links and the DHEC website. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.